Hello, everyone. I wanted to include one more video as part of week 4, and that is on the theme of the subject of shamanism and Buddhism as they began to develop in the Silla dynasty and continue even today in modern day Korea in many aspects. If you want to summarize shamanism in Korea, you'd be good to just use the phrase "God is everywhere, man." That's pretty much covers it. That's the perspective of shamanism, or what is also called animism, which is a native religion or series of practices and religious thinking in lots and lots, perhaps every culture on Earth. If you have difficulty understanding the concept of animism or shamanism, the best example we have in North America is the Native American tribes themselves. If you know anything of the spirituality of the Native American tribes, there is belief in animal spirits. There is belief in spirits that live in trees and mountains and rocks. That weather features like windstorms and tornadoes, thunder, are related to deities and have supernatural power. And really, every aspect of human life is somehow connected in the thinking of animism to supernatural forces and supernatural spirits. If someone gets sick, they might assume that someone else in the village may have become possessed by a not so nice spirit, or they may have actually performed some witchcraft to employ that spirit to attack an enemy or something like that. And you can find those kind of beliefs the world over in dozens and dozens of cultures around the world. In Korea, in particular, it's called shamanism because this animistic belief is always mediated by an individual, by a human being. We can broadly call a shaman. In Korea, the religion has come to be known as Musok, Korean shamanism. And it is mediated by a person, typically a female shaman, called a Musok-in or a Mudan. And these Musok-in, or shamans, are said to be people infused with spiritual power, sometimes possessed by spirits, whether benevolent or not so benevolent spirit. And these shamans or Musok-in lead common people, not so spiritually charged people like them, in ceremonies called gut nowadays in Korea. Gut ceremonies often focus on assuaging the assumed anger of offended spirits or asking for supernatural assistance with a project or supernatural blessing on something that you want to do, or on the birth of a child, etc., etc. The beliefs and practices are not usually written down, but they are passed from master to apprentice through the Musok or Mudan traditions. Every Musok-in just knows the right way to do a gut and the wrong way to do a gut. They know if it's being done wrong. That's for sure. The places of worship and ceremony in Korean Musok are often mountaintops, hillsides, near rivers, in forests under large spreading trees, very natural settings typically. They don't often involve construction by human hands. Many ancient Buddhist monasteries, if you go to Korea today, you'll find that many of the ancient Buddhist monasteries are constructed on or near Musok ritual sites. So they chose an auspicious location that was already spiritually charged as the location of their Buddhist monastery. On my first visit to Korea, I found it difficult to distinguish which rituals and traditions belong to Buddhism, Korean Buddhism, and which ones belong to Musok. Sometimes the practitioners themselves do not know which is which nowadays in Korea. This intermingling of Buddhism and Musok in Korea is due to historical developments, particularly during the Joseon dynasty. And we'll be talking about that later on in the course. Buddhism, especially in its Korean variety, shows a remarkable ability to absorb and coexist alongside other religious systems, sometimes apparently in conflict with Buddhism itself. Buddha and many famous bodhisattvas, which are people in the process of becoming Buddhas, many of these people have become power spirits venerated in Musok rituals and perhaps employed for their particularly powerful personalities. And to many Korean Buddhists, the spirits of nature and ancient generals and kings in Korea are considered to be lesser deities in the Buddhist pantheon. Spirits that either help or hinder the Buddhist practitioner on his or her spiritual journey. If you're confused, it's okay. It's not very clear. In the unified Silla period, Buddhism was first adopted in Korea for the first time as the official state religion of the entire peninsula. Buddhist priests and monks gained political and economic power in the process. They became very powerful figures. And as you're reading through the history in weeks 4 and 5, you may suddenly come across these Buddhist sages and monks that suddenly appear to be political figures. And they were. They had power and authority because of their knowledge and education in the ways of Buddhism. During this period, Buddhism was seen mostly as the religion of the educated and intellectual classes of unified Silla, while Musok was primarily practiced in the mountains and the forests and in those natural locations I was mentioning. Subsequently, as Korean Buddhists in later centuries were themselves driven into the forests, away from the centers of power, to the mountains across the peninsula of Korea, Musok and Buddhism became increasingly enmeshed and intertwined. Until today, they appear to outside observers like me to be part of one unified religious system. They seem to get along very, very well nowadays. So that's a little bit about shamanism and Buddhism beginning in Silla, and we'll be talking more about their relationship at different points in the course and perhaps their animosity to other religions that are beginning to appear on the scene, such as Confucianism that we've already seen, and pretty soon Christianity being introduced from the Western world. So we'll be talking about those religious ramifications alongside the political ones later on in the course. Thank you for listening.